it was a very big house for little girls, I think. I found it overpowering and almost frightening sometimes as a very little girl. Felicity was a baby when we moved in. So she never knew a different house, I guess. No. But it was very big compared to any place I had ever lived. And there was big porch on 3 sides of the house when we moved in. And it was not an Olmsted porch, by the way. Olmsted had a skinny little porch. So we could be outside in the pouring rain and just run around the porch and be so safe and cozy. Tina remembers, I know she told me about running through Mama's laundry. So I expect we got yelled at for that, but I don't remember doing any such thing.
We would ride our tricycles all around. The porch was on 3 sides. Mrs. Beil would open a connecting door, and we'd go in one door and through the house and out the other door and back onto the porch again and go round and round and round.
Yes, around the porch and through around the porch, into the dining room, around the dining room table, and back out onto the porch. Big fun.
Right on the front lawn of the Olmsted house is a very large black walnut tree, and it's still producing walnuts today, and it's in very good health. The 2 most important trees are the cedar of Lebanon trees that he planted. They're very rare. They don't usually grow in this country. And then there's a very large ginkgo tree and a very large horse chestnut tree. All of those we know, those and the Osage orange trees we know that he planted. And they're still doing very well. And he planted them in the late 1840s. One of the Osage orange trees, and it's a special place to all of us, it fell over, but it never died. It fell over in the 50s. And it had a big, wide trunk that we would hang on. And today, the bark is totally off that spot, rubbed off by all of us kids in the 50s hanging on it. There's one branch that's a little higher. When you got bigger, you'd go to the higher branch. But every time we go to visit the Olmsted place and walk the grounds, we walk past that tree, and I know for myself, I just hang on it. I just have to. It was such a good memory.
We each had a spot in the Osage orange tree, is how I remember it. And I had the one that was absolutely closest to the ground and easiest to get onto, because I was really a little too old for, at 5, I felt I was too old for climbing trees. It was a little scary. But I had to have a place in the tree.
Olmsted's house was built about 1680s, 1690s possibly. It had many owners until Olmsted finally got it. When he bought it, at that time it differs between 115 and 125 acres, seaside property, a big old farm house, and at least 2 barns and some ponds. He used it as his classroom. He would plant trees there, he would plant crops. He wanted to see what would grow. And while he was there, they believe that he started doing plans for Central Park. Central Park was a contest to see who could come up with the best plan. And he eventually won the contest and went on to do Central Park. He's considered the father of landscape architecture. So someday we hope everybody will realize just how great he is, and we have his house. Nobody else has his house. We have his classroom. I think that's the best thing we have, where it all started.
Our father, way back in the 1980s, I believe, if not sooner, wanted the house and the land and the trees to be part of the park system so that the house would never be bulldozed, and the land would never be built on, and the trees would never be knocked down. It really meant a lot to him, and he and our sister Eloise spent years and years working with many wonderful, helpful people from the Parks Department and other places to make sure that the house would be saved. And that work is continuing now that they're trying to add the Kassmann-Dunn property to the park, so it will get even bigger. And it was part of the original Olmsted land, so it's very nice that it's just going to grow and get a little bigger. We were lucky enough to grow up in that house that he lived in while he was first learning what turned out to be his ruling lifelong passion. And the house is still there, and his trees are still there, and it's just an amazing thing that before we've lost the house, the trees, and the land, it's been rediscovered, and this great group has formed to help preserve the house and the land and make a nice little New York City park out of it, and it just in the nick of time. We were so lucky. And lots of people I talk to who grew up on Staten Island and in our era say the same thing, that having the trees and the woods around them made all the difference in how they felt at the end of the day or how they feel now.